Alright, so Palworld version 0.6.4 has been released. We got some new content, some mechanics, some balance adjustments. We're just gonna go through it and read the patch notes. We got some new content, added the new, more powerful version of Moonlord Master. So I guess this is like the new Ultra version. We'll see if it scales to level 65 or if it will stay level like 50. Hopefully it adds a little bit of difficulty to this. We'll see how many Ivy fruits it drops, I guess. Might drop like 10. Mechanic adjustments. Summon pals no longer deal damage when bumping into neutral pals. I guess it's good unless you used it to farm Mimog. I'm not sure why they changed this, but I guess it is what it is. Probably not to trigger a bunch of aggro. Sending an overpowered pal on an expedition or pal team on an expedition will no longer reduce the time but instead increase the rewards. Thank you. I've been asking for this for quite a while. I guess we'll see in-game just how much it is later. Summon pals or return to the player's party upon death. I guess this is to prevent like when you would die versus a tower boss and your pal just finishes us off. Or maybe like against raids or not raids, what do you call them? Alpha bosses like Jet Dragon. Your party pal would just win the fight for you, I guess, when you died. Enemies will no longer spawn when their bases are cleared. Enemy built bases, not static camps. I guess this removes the experience farming method. We're just flying back and forth on a jet dragon. I guess this is what this is about. I mean, they probably will respawn after that 30-minute timer. They're not a one-time thing, I'm just gonna assume. Death markers, not really sure I care about that. The amount of fish at shadows will persist at a fishing spot. I guess this prevents that sort of fishing up all pools except for one and then leaving and coming back. So the 5-minute getting all rainbow passive thing is probably dead. But added additional fishing spots. I guess now, before like you would just fly away and backing in on the same spot, now we actually have to check up some route for this. But overall, like fishing for me was just purely about those passives. So no real reason to care or make a route for farming or anything. I'm not farming anything from them. They're just like a one-time deal and then you stop fishing, I guess. Adjusted some stuff. Yeah. UI when buying pals. Interaction logic for opening and closing cages. I guess you can stand a little bit further away than climbing that wall and stuff like that in enemy bases. Adjusting the building restrictions radius around the expedition station. I would have preferred to have it a bit smaller. I'm still making the floating ones, but always nice with some changes to that. Items from the flea market can no longer exceed 1 stack per purchase. I don't really care about this, but I guess it's not that nice for multiplayer people to have to spam by and more. Fix the behavior of the homing sphere launcher. Maybe it doesn't camp outside the enemy spheres anymore. That would be not so fun if it was changed that way for the homing enjoyers. Or maybe it was when it actually went under the ground, like catching Neptilius. There was an issue with catching Neptilius. You had to jump before you used it. Hopefully it's that, and not the camping outside thing. Balance adjustments. Fixed an issue with the partner skill trigger Happy had unintendedly high power. Rest in peace, Finsider and Finsider Ignis, I guess. It was nice knowing you. Shame about all that time spent breeding perfect ones. We'll see how big the nerf is, if it's actually terrible or if it's decent. Increase the drop rate for the legendary blueprints from the Terraria dungeon. See, this is why I'm still using my green Terra Prisma. I was waiting for the patch. We always get the buff to drop rates around a month in, so I just chilled. I did not want to do 1000 dungeons. So now I can actually start farming the legendary Terra Prisma. At least there's been no mention of nerfing Terra Prisma in here so far. Adjusted the selling price of the Terraria monsters. I guess you can't just go there and spam catch and sell for money anymore. Gave some heat and cold resistance to the hallowed plate metal. I mean, that's nice. Plate mail. Adjusted the breeding results when using the Eye of Cthulhu. Yeah, I think this is the Chickpea thing. So if you didn't prep your Chickpea army, this was a FOMO. I did make a PSA about it. I already got all my Chickpeas with all those Invader and Celestial Emperor and all the breeding skills. And a couple of like Demon God Vampiric builds and stuff like that. Now you can't. You'll have to trade for them, I guess. Change the raid boss reward logic so players receive rewards even if they didn't deal direct damage to the boss. Well, that's nice. Now I no longer need to shoot that random rocket at Rio. or like aim for the eye on Moonlord with a assault rifle, something like that. Increase the ancient civ parts. I mean, that's nice. They were a bit like, if you played on default settings and you needed like 200 incubators in the early game, it was a little bit of a slog, as well as like skipping certain schematics. Increase the amount of overheat rifle ammo created from 5 to 10. So roughly double, very roughly double, the amount of, not the amount of Corlum, half the amount of Corlum per bullet, I guess. So it's pretty nice if you want to use the overheat rifle. I think it's still gonna be tearing through your Corlum stores if you use it for like raids, tower bosses, stuff like that. I think I was using like somewhere between 500 and 1000 per Bjorn kill. So it still eats through the ammo pretty quickly, but you will get more ammo now. Increased swimming speed for some pals, gonna have to redo that chart, I guess. If it is the swimming mounts. It might not be the swimming mounts, it might just be this random swimming speed stat. Like the Blasphemous Rio just paddling around looking like it's drowning, I guess. Adjusted the map placement of certain missions. Yeah, I can't tell you too much about this, I still haven't made a new save for it. Let's take a look at the major bug fixes then. Mission progress was lost, that was a common one, so that's nice. Pile dimensional storage would disappear. Okay, I didn't know this was still in there, but it's a good thing I keep backing my pals up, I guess. Using the global pal box. When dying, the items are inside the dungeon, or when you're inside the dungeon, the items and the pals are dropped in front of the dungeon entrance. So this was one that confused a lot of people. Before it would drop at your pal box. Now it drops at the dungeon entrance, like it should, I guess. And bug fix. We had major bug fixes, and then I guess like minor bug fixes later. Bug fixes. Fixed an issue with Moonlord Raid where pals would continue to attack or destroy body parts. Yeah, it was pretty common with like Dark Wisp and stuff like that, just targeting the head instead of the heart. Moonlord wrong achievement, that was a common one. Herbal's partner skill. Yeah, you would get trapped in the tower boss if you used Herbal's partner skill and died against the tower boss. It bugged out. Fix the bug where Herbal's partner skill in combination with certain enemy skills could cause the game to soft lock. Yep. Crash when switching inputs while using chat. Not so common ones. I'm looking for more the like actually combat related ones. The ones that I encounter. You know, if this affects you, then it's good for you. But I'm looking for the stuff that affects me. Handing over missions. I don't care about controllers. I guess you care maybe if you encounter that bug. Fix the bug that caused missions to duplicate. Now this one I would have wanted. When logging into dedicated servers. Oh, I play solo. Wouldn't affect me. Inconsistencies in NPC dialogue and mission dialogue. I guess it's like Zoe's text running off the screen during her quest. Capturing a target during missions would incorrectly count as 2 kills. Mine counted as 0 kills. Fix that bug. Fix the bug where detailed info for own pals was not displayed during the pal delivery mission UI. That's a lot of specifics for missions. Missions, I'm just gonna skip ahead a little bit. Missions. Translation bug. Sound effects when finishing a mission. You fix the one that affects my raids? When the static noise from Rio stays on the pal box. Controller stuff. Okay, here we got some skills. Fix the bug where skills you would go through walls when used mounted. I wonder if this is like meteor rain and stuff like that. Or something else. We'll see what skills you can now use to farm the bases that you can't farm anymore. I guess like shooting the chopper through walls would work. Fix the bug where some skills would target players from the same guild. Oh, don't fix this stuff. That sounds funny. The fishing minigame bug. Okay. I don't fish a whole lot, but they did fix some fishing guides, some fishing minigames, stuff like that. You could see fish through the walls or floor. Or fish through the walls and floor. That's a shame. Could have kept that one. Fishing and salvaging sound effects could be heard from far away. Oh, now we're getting this. So I was noticing like the fishing pond with certain work suitability items, etc. Yeah, so sometimes the fishing pond would be like 16 minutes, sometimes it would be like 20. And I could not figure out why, because I tried like some different work speed pals. It seemed decently consistent, but we'll see now. Maybe it's a lot faster. Fix the bug with Jellit and Jailroy. Yeah, this was bugged out. think it was just affecting plantations, and plantations are so slow that it doesn't matter anyway, but it might have just been bugged overall. Items dropped underwater wouldn't float to surface. Hopefully this is fixed. I've seen this in the game for a long time, especially when you kill like the Germantide Alpha or the Walaska Alpha. You would lose some stuff. Okay, so they fixed the NPC spamming for infinite rewards. I hope you spam clicked your way to a couple of hundred thunderclouds. Frost Plume's behavior, so that the partner skill is activated if they aren't the primary opponent. Okay, I guess. Some Frost Plume nerfs. Mercy will no longer apply inside the arena. Okay, that's nice. Fix spawn location bugs. Not gonna try discrepancies, I guess. I think that's like Braloa, Celestir, and Ashermain that had the bugged Palpedia, so we'll see if they're fixed. Fix missing partner skill icons. Yeah, that's Terraria Pass, I guess, stuff like that. Fix the sorting order for some food items. Maybe the timer doesn't reset anymore. And then just minor bug fixes at the end. So overall, I think the first thing I'm going to be doing is trying out this new Moonlord Master. And then I guess we can take a look at some of the numbers later on as well, with like how much was Trigger Happy nerfed. What is it looking like with these new PAL expeditions? That is looking very nice. I've been spamming it for cavern mushrooms quite a lot this update, even if I hate myself for it. So hopefully a pretty nice change. Anything else that looks interesting? Just some nerfs to fishing and stuff like that. So I guess we'll jump in, check out this Trigger Happy, the new raid boss, the PAL expedition stuff, and then some other random stuff from the patch notes, and see if anything really has changed a lot. So that's it. Thanks for watching.